No, I got burned out at one point.
You got burned out?
I got burned out. I couldn't do it. I would see it, and I wouldn't even have the energy to even tell them no.
Coming with the intention of wanting to build a business that you enjoy. I'm building the business around my lifestyle, around what I want. Just make the freaking phone ring. That should be your only objective.
My mission set is to see how much I can cooperate with you and free your life and make your life good. So I try to be gentle about how I deliver this stuff. So watching you has been inspirational for me.
Yeah, man. I wanted to record this because we were just talking off air about the fact that last time we've done the podcast, both of us were in different points in our career. And second,
2018.
I was still long hair, barefoot, like in my hippie days. You're at I don't want to say like at the beginning because you're like already doing like your dog training stuff for a while, but like you're starting like to gain momentum at that point. And so that's number one. And the second thing is that you mentioned that, you had many people watching, got exposed to the last podcast, like that reached out. Oh my God, that was so interesting. So, like kind of off the cuff, this is like our catch up, like our...
Well, it works actually because last time you just got back to the country also.
Yeah.
So good. So I like that we're saying the same flavor.
Yes. 4 years later, one major war.
We're in 25, 7 years later.
No, but it's 4 years since I last visited. 7 years since the last podcast. One major war in between, which we kind of covered again, like off here, which is a whole different topic. Maybe for another time, maybe we can explore it here. Like, I don't know, like that's really up to you. I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe for those listeners, viewers who don't know who you are, what do you do? Let's start there. Like, what's your name? What do you do?
My name is Jordan, and I'm just a fellow traveler on this planet over here, pretty much.
That's the hippie talk after the LSD experience, right?
It's definitely there. I'll say last time, if you watched the last podcast, one of the biggest differences is before I was still trying to figure out what is my niche, how do I connect really, really with the dog, and I kind of feel like it came into a place of, instead of being technical and trying to I always did it with a lot of heart, but I was still trying to be really technical. And today it's way more spiritual and way more, I just feel like I don't even have a dog. I didn't have a dog then either. But my ability to work with these dogs and with super klilut, like before I used to have to put a lot of effort into it.
What is klilut for the...
Sorry. Seamlessly. Before it was more like... and
very rigid,
and I feel like now everything's a lot smoother, so even when I work with the dogs, I don't have to do nearly as much to get way more out of them. I can get their belief stronger, so it's been like...
Is this because of the 10,000 hours, so to speak, like if we're, like putting the Malcolm Gladwell, like take on like mastery or Robert Greene's like 10,000 hour rule, or is it like we said, like I kind of half jokingly said, like the LSD, like the psychedelic experiences that you've had recently that kind of opened this part up?
I'd say the retreats in general. So last time we talked...
What is the retreats? Again,
so last time we talked, I just come back from South Africa.
Okay.
And that was... I had already been 13 years. I started in 2005 to be with dogs. And then, so I'd already been 13 years. And I was really curious. Everyone says scent is the strongest thing on a dog.
Okay.
It's the most basic, and nobody knows a goddamn thing about it. You can literally ask anybody who's a professional, and nobody knows anything about it in general. So Sometimes the working people do. Okay, so I don't know in the comments. Okay, but in the big picture, a lot of people don't really know how to really identify what they're looking at. So I flew to South Africa, and we had just met when I came back.
Yeah,
And
which is a whole different topic because I don't know if you saw. Did you see the Tucker Carlson interview with the guy from South Africa?
which one?
So there's this. I don't know the title, whether is an historian, a social worker, like someone who actually talks about the racial like tension
In
and
South
like the
Africa.
craziness that happens towards white people
For
nowadays
sure.
in South Africa, and no one in mainstream media is talking about it. Then you were telling me this
Years ago.
7 years ago
Yeah.
about like how fucking like like black people are like just killing white farmers and just like it's becoming like a fucking like zombie
It's like a
land.
genocide type. It's like a
Yeah.
slow genocide.
Yeah, yeah,
Or cleansing. I don't know what you
yeah,
call it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's definitely okay, so Baba, yeah.
No. So I was just like tying this to like to your South Africa part because then I was like,
Well, so the South Africa, which you said, I always knew about South Africa what I saw on TV or what I heard, like
Yeah.
the racist white guy.
yeah,
It's like really what I knew. And then
Yeah.
when I got there, it was the furthest thing from the truth.
yeah,
So far. And that like when I'm looking for truth in dogs, because I'm trying to work with an animal that doesn't speak. So it's always trying to figure out what the truth is.
Yeah.
And that was definitely an experience where I was like, whoa, things that have been said, because in dogs, a lot of people say a lot of things. Everybody's a fucking expert today, and a lot of people have done what they would consider to be like educational stuff when it comes to dogs, but you can only learn so much in a classroom environment. You want to learn it, you have to go out. So then I was more I was still trying to connect more. And 4 years ago, I started these dog retreats.
okay,
It started out literally just wanting to go camping with dogs, something like this. I didn't really know what it was going to be. I just knew I wanted to take dogs outside to the woods or to the desert. And now we've done 28 of them in the last 4 years. And that has changed my entire gisha, my approach, the way that I approach this whole business and this whole...
Isn't it funny that you're American and I'm like filling out the English words for you? Yeah, this Israeli guy.
It's been a flip. We flipped.
Yeah.
So that, I think part of it has to do with the fact that my partner, we have the same roots. I was going to say shorashim, the same roots. So that connects between us as far as how do we speak. We have common language to see things and let each one and then just having somebody that I feel close to that is able to show me other parts of this, like when it's just me and I'm the expert, no, give me another expert and somebody that humbles me. And one of the biggest things that she did for me early on was it was all joking between us. And then like the third retreat, one of the last days, she's like, I have something to tell you. And I was like, hey, that wasn't a joke. And she said, you have, why don't you touch the dogs? Or you have some sort of thing about touching the dogs. And she touched on a very sensitive topic. Because it's not just with dogs, it's also with humans.
Yeah.
And I felt I felt super exposed. Like, wow, oh my God, she can see,
Yeah.
But I trust her, so I was just absorbing. And for the next 3 days, I still had tons of work. I had to go train a whole bunch of dogs, but I'm feeling like no confidence. I feel like I know nothing about dogs. My whole career, I'm just like, I knew nothing. I'm such a,
humble experience.
Humbling.
Yeah.
After 3 days, I got my confidence back. I was like, okay, I'm not the worst with dogs. I'm sure I know something. And then I started to really see like, wow, how much charisma you add to the game. How much does that play? How much power does it give me in order to be able to help these dogs? Because in the end, I look at it now, there's a book called The Charisma Myth. One of the most amazing books I've ever read, life-changing. Because when I read this book, it showed me that charisma is just chemicals that I want to make somebody release. So I can do it to myself and I can do it with others. And when I work with dogs, I try to do how do I create the right chemicals inside of them to give them the certain feeling that I want them to have. Because it's not me telling them how to feel, I need them to feel this way.
Imagine right now, like I'm trying to imagine a dog owner who watches this, hears you talking about like fucking releasing chemical. Dude, like
Yeah.
I just want my dog not to pee in the house.
Okay.
Like no, and why I'm saying this is that like this is a very spiritual approach where, like you said, like you would you're talking about scent, talking about releasing chemicals at a dog. I'm not sure I would hear any dog trainer talk about these things in relations to dog training.
True. Um, I've had a different lifestyle than a lot of these guys. I feel like, I left the house really early and just had different experiences that kind of forced me to go deep. And the base place where I start from when I look at these dogs is many people today, they tell you about dogs. Everyone's a dog expert. You want to know about a dog? What's a dog thinking? Ask a dog trainer. I have a human next to me, and I have no clue what you're thinking. So how the hell am I supposed to know what this thing is thinking? So I start from a place of I don't know what you're 100% thinking, so I need to try to decipher it. And then most people today really, really do love their dog. But we've gotten to a place, especially in the Western society, where loving your dog is being super overprotective of this thing. You don't let it out before its vaccines. You have to always have it on a leash. You don't want to do anything that's going to slightly make it feel uncomfortable. And what you're really doing is instead of letting the dog live and adding it to a part of your life, you're just kind of creating more of like a responsibility that you need to deal with. And so when I train, when I work with these dogs, I try to make them good okay, they say dogs are pack animals, right?
Okay.
Humans are pack animals too, right?
Okay.
Would you agree with this?
Some are. I see myself more of a lone wolf kind of.
Okay, but you sometimes will meet a pack,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
same thing with dogs. If you look at dogs around the world when they have options and they're free, sometimes they roam in a pack, sometimes they're more loners, sometimes they have their best friend, he goes away. So it has the same cultural effects on dogs.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to be a good group member, I need to be a good individual member.
With that, I agree.
Maybe I'm a good group member for a certain amount of time, but if I'm not a good individual, then I won't be able to last and I won't be able to give the best. So when I work, I teach the human to be a good individual, the dog to be a good individual, and then together they can learn how to be a group. So when I train and when I tell people these things, sometimes they respond like you said, what the heck does it have to do with training my dog?
Yeah.
But when I work, I try to hit the subconscious of everybody that I work with and plant seeds. And those seeds will continue to grow no matter if I'm next to you or not, because of the fact that it will be implanted and you'll start to see things differently. And then throughout the journey, as they journey with this dog, more and more things will make sense and they will naturally be more connected with them. I've seen it work. I've been doing this so long enough to know that I know how to do this well.
From the outside, just like looking at your social media, I have absolutely no idea what you're just talking about, but I fucking see it works. Like I see you going with all these different dogs, no leash, different breeds. Like some are like bigger, smaller dogs. How quickly you get them to do things such as, like going on a wall and just like all these different phobias. So it's like it works. Like again, I don't know what this.
So I'll tell you. Okay, so another one. Most dog trainers have a dog, right? I think we'd all probably agree with that. Most dog trainers
I
have a
wouldn't
dog.
know, but okay, let's assume.
I don't know either, but I would say that most dog trainers have a dog.
Okay.
They usually say, "Hey, the sandal guy walks without the sandals," right?
Okay.
So because I don't have a dog, I feel like like sometimes when you leave something and then you come back to it, you're better at it, right? Because your brain had time to rest.
Yeah.
So in my life, I don't have a full-time dog around me, so I'm always in and out, as far as in the process.
Yeah.
And then because I don't have a dog and I live in places that had a lot of free dogs, I've always had to represent myself. And when I have dogs that come to stay with me for boarding, I don't want to have a leash on them, so I need to represent myself. Normally I would have a dog.
Yeah.
And they would follow my dog, and my dog would say, "Hey, Jordan's cool. You should follow him. Hey, you should listen to him."
Yeah.
But because I don't have that dog, it's just me with this one. So I need to know how to bring myself to the table, into the party. And I feel like a lot of people in the field, it's very, very, everyone wants to feel like an expert and feel really good. And that's more of their goal, is to grow to get more, I don't want to call it fame, but get like a bigger platform. Where for many years, I didn't focus more on the platform. I focused more on how do I test myself honestly to find out if I'm actually that good. Like, how do I know if I'm really good or not? Unless I test myself in many, many different circumstances. And because I don't work in any closed environments, I just work out, things will happen. And then you get to test, and then you get to see if you're any good. And then I get to apply those things. And then when I teach people, I teach them, even without telling them, to handle pressure and stress and know how to operate inside of it. Because anybody can just walk a dog when there's nothing going on. But all of a sudden you start to have all sorts of trouble going on. If my dog is another issue for me to deal with, it's going to stress me out. So I need to be able to know how to solve this problem so I can be out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it also relates to what we talked about earlier, like especially in times of combat,
Yeah.
how important it is to just take control, even if like you're in a totally uncharted territory and like you're in complete darkness and unknown. Just try to manage something and like fix that one thing. And I think that in regards to you, like would you agree that this is one of those things that help you cope and manage, like like, and keep your sanity, like throughout of
You
it?
reminded me, we talked about a story previously we just talked about when we were off camera. One story I will tell really quick on here. When I was in military school, when I was 13 years old, the first month is boot camp.
Yeah.
And in boot camp, you only get 60 seconds. And your commanders are 14 years old. So I'm 13. My commander is 14 years old. So he's only 1 year older than me. So they send you to the showers for 60 seconds. Now, 60 seconds, it only took me a day to realize, or 2 days to realize, you can't wash, soap, and get the water off in 60 seconds. So it's only a month. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I can go 30 days without a shower. So what I'm going to do right now, instead of them stressing me out, I'm going to go, turn on the hot water, turn off the hot water, and walk out. And I remember doing that for the rest of the boot camp, and they didn't know how to deal with this situation. Like, you're walking out before the time. And that was my little moment of just taking some control of my life. And that I've applied, and I try to give the dogs the same control.
The dog or the dog owner?
The dog. If the dog knows, think about it like a glove. If the dog is a good decision maker, and he makes decisions more like applied to how I would need the decisions made, then the human needs to deal with the dog less.
Because they're like more synchronized?
People today just they try to focus on telling the dog what to do. I try to focus on how do I cooperate with that dog to let you be free as I'm doing the things that I'm doing. I feel like it's a completely different mindset. Some people...
Different philosophies of dog training.
I think it's a completely different goal, like mission set. My mission set is to see how much I can cooperate with you and free your life and make your life good. A lot of people are focused on how much faster can I make the dog sit? How much, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the technical.
All these how much can I control what I'm watching here? And I have a lot of ability to control the dog, which is why I feel like I want to teach him how to be a good partner. Co-pilot.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a huge difference in how I spend my time and my energy, you know?
All right.
But it does, I will say, sometimes the dog owners are like, how is this going to help me?
Yeah. How do you bring the dog owner to see it through your lens, or like to bring them closer to your dog training philosophy?
That's a good question. Over the years, it's been a little bit more difficult, I would say. Difficult and not difficult, because today everybody thinks they know a lot about dogs. There's a lot of like videos that people watch, and everybody has a friend that did a dog training course and stuff like this. So it's like you're up against a wall almost of people who know a lot of things. Well, if they knew so much, you wouldn't have so many problems. Dogs ruin a lot of relationships, sex lives, you know? I just had a dog at my house right now, and when the girl that I'm seeing came over, I can clearly see that he
Protective.
can't have it that I'm focused on her. Like and I know that that's what he
Jealous.
does with his owner.
Yeah.
So I get to see what happens at his own house.
Yeah.
And his owner's single.
Yeah.
Okay? So take it for what you will.
Yeah. Like on how to bring the
owner.
dog owners closer to your philosophy on dog training.
So one, not everybody, I'm not fit for everybody. Like back in the day, I was more trying to get to every, today I know I like certain types of customers that want to, like if you want to expand what you can do with your dog, call me. You know, I don't want to work with everybody. Like I've been doing this long enough that there's certain individuals that I more click with and connect with, and we can go way deeper. And I've created long-term relationships with these people. And throughout the war, it was actually my dog customers that helped me throughout, without question, the people that supported me the most. Unbelievable. I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So how do I convince those people? One, I try to be super gentle, because some of the things that I do can look in a certain way, like, wow, doesn't that hurt the dog's spirit in certain ways? It's like, no, you're actually strengthening his spirit. So I try to be gentle about how I deliver this stuff, and I try to set them, you know, it's all about setting expectations. I try to set them, they all come with their own expectations about what they want, and I try to just open them up. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I'm in a stage right now where I've been changing. I'm working with a live animal, so it's like sometimes I'm feeling different, so I engage with it differently.
Let's switch this conversation a little bit, because I think one of my key things in life in general, and especially like, you know, like with friends who are receptive to it and want to grow and change, is helping them achieve that. And, you know, like obviously throughout the years, I feel like that I've been a source, hopefully, like for you, like to bounce ideas, to help you rethink.
Role model in many ways. You know, I watch you, like we've been together for a long time, and just watching you was like, whoa, you know, he's fucking doing it. Like I remember picking you up in San Diego.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you have shit.
With the old BMW, yeah.
Driving like 100 plus, and you're like, you're driving fast. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But that was like, you didn't even have a car. You had nowhere to go, and then you like go up to LA, and you're just trying to figure
shit out. Yeah.
You know, and then you went to New York, and then you tried. So watching you has been inspirational for me. It's like, okay, my dog is doing it, so how do I also grow? You know?
Yeah. And so I just mentioned, like, also, like, because you mentioned the interview, and I haven't watched it, I think, since we recorded, so I was curious to know and hear what I had to say, like where were you in your journey and what I had to say back then, but more so, rather than just like focusing on and masturbating on what we've done in the past, is just more of like, all right, awesome, I've grown, you've grown,
For sure.
Let's see where you are right now, and let's see if my expertise can take you ideally, hopefully, to the next stage in your career. So I would really want to understand a little bit more about where you are with your business right now, you know, with the war, with all that shit, like with everything, like, and try to be as transparent as possible. What's your goals? Let's try to explore things together.
Okay, so we had a conversation like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Which we talked in the because I knew you were going to say the limiting beliefs thing, and you were going to say you have limiting beliefs. So I prepped myself to absorb that.
So maybe give some context before that. What were you thinking that I'll say limiting beliefs about?
Whatever I was going to say, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming my way, because it's the first thing that you need to help. If you're going to help consult somebody, you need to break whatever wall that's holding them back that you can help them with. So that was the first thing, and I knew it was coming. So I was like, okay, let's start opening the wall. Where's the key? Get the key.
I think that if I'm not mistaken, it was about like bringing your physical training online,
Yeah.
and you had some limiting beliefs around that.
For
Like,
sure.
is
So-
it even possible?
So I've been all my career, for the most part, I've done it, and I've gotten the opportunity to work in different continents, but for the most part, a lot of my career has been spent here in Israel, and mostly single lessons. I've done a few different things. I do the retreats, which is experiential. It helps me grow in a career. But, and then we've had the war, which
Yeah.
that kind of just, I had to give away my customers and stuff like this, and some of them held me down, but at the same time, it takes a lot of energy to always keep rebuilding it.
Yeah.
Which is why when I called you, I was like, yo, I gotta call Leo, because how do I get to a place where I'm not nervous about money, and I'm not always like, almost like a war-proof business.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I thought. But,
Yeah.
but also, I have a lot to share. I want to share it, and I want to get paid for it. I can solve a lot of problems for you, and so that's kind of how this started.
Yeah.
And then after we talked, I did my first online training, which actually went amazing. It's a guy that I previously.
The amazing wasn't the one with San Diego that you told me off air.
No, it's another one.
Okay.
That was that was
Yeah.
a few years before
Yeah.
that I tried, and not being able to help them. So it's like, okay, now I need to do this.
Yeah.
So I have a guy that I'd previously trained his dog. Okay, so it was kind of easier in that case.
Yeah.
But I did 4 or 5 lessons for him, and I mean, he's super stoked. And it was all online. It was all teaching him how do you work the leash, and I actually found that some of the stuff was easier for me to show online,
Okay.
because maybe there's less pressure on the people than when I'm in front of them and they're nervous to do it next
How
to me.
did you package it? How did you package the offer?
In his case, he's the one that threw it to me.
Okay.
So I'm really just starting the online thing, and I want to take it but he actually threw it to me. Why don't we do online lessons?
Yeah.
So
Where is he in Israel?
he's in Idaho.
In Idaho. Okay.
So I told
And he
him
got to you how online?
I've trained his dog in 2018. Right before we did the last podcast,
Okay.
I trained his
You
dog
were
in
in
San Diego.
Idaho?
In San Diego.
Okay, so he was in San Diego back then.
We were in San Diego at the same time.
Okay.
I trained his dog, and then now he lives in Idaho.
Okay.
And then he contacted me to do the online training.
Okay.
Right as we were talking, so
Okay,
kind of
okay,
like
okay.
everything fit in place.
Okay.
Listen to the universe,
Yeah.
So when I packaged it for him, he came to me and I told him, listen, we can do some indoor stuff. We have to do leash. I'll try to do the best that I can
Yeah.
and give you technical skills. But a lot of this is going to be based on how do you approach the dog.
Yeah.
And then as we do a lesson, and then he sends me kind of like homework, we'll call it, where I can go over the homework, and then we meet for
He
the next one.
sends you homework?
Like he's done his homework.
That he's done his homework. Okay, so you assign some homeworks to him, and then he'll send you what, like some video recordings,
Video
Or-
recording, so
okay.
I can help
refine or
refine
yeah.
the way he's doing stuff, or completely change
Yeah.
what he's doing.
Yeah. Okay.
Because a lot of people in the dog world are used to hearing consistency. Like they hear that crap a lot.
Yeah, but if the method is wrong, so it's just like
You're
yeah.
consistently messing
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So I try to give them, the biggest thing is to be able to give them tools, so when I'm not around, they can help analyze the situation and start to get to a better answer.
Okay.
So as far as the online stuff is happened, I've done a lot of recording since I recorded myself doing a lot of different work.
Hold on. I just don't want to lose that part.
Hmm?
He contacted you.
Yeah,
Did he offer the four lessons, or you did?
I offered him the lesson.
You offered.
Mm-hmm.
How did you package it, price wise? What was the price like?
Okay, so the first lesson, I didn't know what I was going to do with him.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of get a feel, do like the consultation call or whatever.
Okay.
I had a feeling, I got an idea of what he wanted, and then I told him, listen.
That was on Zoom.
That was on, I think it was on Facebook, but yeah, Zoom.
Okay. Not recorded.
Not recorded.
Okay.
So I started by doing just the first lesson to get feedback, figure out what he wants and where he is. And then all the rest of the lessons were more technical and physical.
Okay.
Where he places a camera, he does some of the work, we can go over things, I can separate when I'm working online, I want to separate the dog and I also want to separate the person. So this way he can just work the leash without even the dog attached to it.
Okay.
So I did some of that stuff for him. So this way he can get better technical skills, which I
And
think
the main objective was walking the dog without a leash, like that. That was like the main thing that he was after.
in the big picture, yeah. This is a
Okay.
guy that does a lot of biking and hiking and paddle boarding, and he's always outside, and he likes to let his dog off leash,
Right.
and his dog is causing
Yeah.
chaos, so he can't
Yeah.
do it. That was
Yeah.
kind of like the
Okay.
gist. That was kind
Okay.
of like the gist. And after the first one, I told him, hey, let's do one lesson indoors. We'll do one lesson outdoors. We'll see kind of where we're at. And I want to do leash, sit stay, streets, and off leash. Those are going to be the 4 basic ones that we're going to cover.
And how much did you charge?
That was $50 a meeting for 60 minutes.
And did you price it as 4 meetings, $200, or did you
No,
did you say let's do one at a time?
one at a time.
One at a time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All these weren't recorded. Okay. I think obvious that's the first lesson here, right?
For sure. You got to record your...
Record the living shit out of it. You can use, like I said, like just like $50, like record. You can use Zoom like for $50, their recording feature, or you can use some Otter AI or some other AI tools that sync with it. And it's especially important as you kind of figure it out in this phase, because you would learn what are the things that work online versus out, like in the real world, and you can build your script around that. Now, what was the outcome? Four lessons in. I'm not even talking about the pricing, which is dirt cheap, but okay, we'll put this aside for a second. 4 lessons. Okay, so that was once a week. What was the outcome?
Pretty good. What I would say is pretty good is he's super happy and impressed.
Okay.
Which is always
from the progression.
From the progression. I sent him a message the other day just kind of get feedback on where he's at. He said he's doing a big road trip. He said he's having a little bit of trouble with the off-leash stuff.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to figure out how do I better approach to be able to give him, to set him up. I don't have that locked in yet.
Is 4 lessons too tight of a time frame?
Definitely.
Okay. What would be the ideal time frame for something like this to like take place?
I think online 10 would be
10.
Okay.
Have you looked at the market of what do dog trainer online programs usually cost and what do they offer?
Don't know how much they all cost. I've never downloaded them, so I don't know exactly what they offer.
Okay.
But in general, a lot of people, the issues people, you'll break it down from puppy, adult, right? You kind of break it down in ages.
Okay.
Which maybe can work. I don't know how to do the breakdown 100%. As I'm going through this, I don't know how to break it down exactly, but what other people offer, a lot of people teach them basic stuff. Like if you look at a lot of online material, a lot of it's just the same thing over and over again. Teaching a dog to sit, teaching a dog to lie down, teaching a dog. Like if I was going to change anything about how people who own a dog would even interact with it, they think the basics is to teach a dog to sit. Like that's a basic thing to teach a dog. And it is basic. But the basic thing is to let your dog out and off leash. All the other things will just come. Does that make sense?
I would think that from our discussion, the basic thing is that to set in the dog's eye view that you're the alpha.
Something like this. I don't like to come at it from this is how a lot of the dog world, a lot of the dog world comes at it from the top. I'm the human. Dogs are here to please me, right? You've heard this before.
Okay.
Dogs like to please their owners.
Okay.
If that was true, I wouldn't have a job. Dogs don't want to didn't come here to fucking please you. They're here to worry about themselves. And if you can collide agendas, then all of a sudden you'll have a good dog. A lot of people just have a dog. They have their own agenda. The dog has his own agenda, and they never really groove together. They do 3 times a week. I take him out. I take him for his short walk and his long walk. It's a very, very academic type engagement.
Yeah.
And the dog came here to live. And whether or not he's got another year to live or another 13 years to live, the way that I approach it is I want to give you freedom. I don't want to teach you how to teach a dog to sit in your kitchen.
Yeah.
That doesn't help you do anything outside. So as I would do the 10 lessons, a lot of that would be making people feel not bad, but feel for the fact that you have a life in your hands that you need to give to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't have a dog. I don't have a dog
Yeah.
because right now
It's a lot of
I
responsibility.
want a wife first. I want a beautiful companion next to me, and then I'll get a dog.
Yeah.
But I don't want to have a dog first because I don't want to have to do all those things.
Yeah.
But if you have one, then do it.
Yeah.
I have dogs in my house now.
Yeah.
When I go back home, I'm going to make sure that everyone's taken care of. Everyone is discharged. All the bathroom stuff. Like when I talked about the chemicals, think about this. Many dogs today, all day long, they have to hold in their pee and their poop, okay? Because they only go out 3 times a day. So that means you go in the morning, you take a piss, you come back. Now it's 7 in the morning. You don't get to go to the bathroom again until 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Now you get to go to the bathroom again. You don't get to go to the bathroom again until 10 o'clock at night when they decide to go out, when they decide right before they go to bed. So literally the dog is all day long holding it.
Yeah.
Well, you're releasing whatever nastiness is being
Yeah.
released inside the body. You're making the dog spiritually uncomfortable on a regular basis. And this compounds itself.
Yeah.
So one of the easiest things you could do to calm your dog down is take him to the bathroom more often. It doesn't have to be a long walk, but give him 30 seconds to go take a piss and relieve himself and bring him back in the house.
Yeah.
Basic stuff like this, that if you can really convey it, you don't need to train your dog. You just need to know how to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but and again, it's your almost natural tendency to go on the expert mode on the dog side of things, which I'm personally less interested in. I'm more interested on the business side of it.
Okay.
And trying to help you figure that shit out.
Let's do that.
You know? So we already established that 10 lessons are the basis for whatever online training you're doing just for off-leash purposes. Right?
Yeah,
Beautiful. Second thing, we know we have to record it.
definitely.
Why? Because we want to build a business that is war-proof.
Warproof for sure.
Right?
Yes.
That's basically the 3 things that we have right now. All right, awesome. Right now, how many clients do you have? Where did they come from? How many leads are you getting a week, a month? Where did they come from? Like, walk me through that side of it, geographically speaking. Are they in Israel or they in the US, all over the world? Like, what's the business side of things and the lead flow as is right now?
No lead flow.
No lead flow.
Like online stuff, we're talking online.
Everything. Word of mouth, referrals.
Most of my work comes from word of mouth or people recommending me in different groups and stuff like that on Facebook.
Different. Okay.
That's most of it.
You put a lot of content online. Does that bring anything?
It's more
Client preservation.
client preservation than it is. It does bring in. It also helps if somebody's interested in who I am. I can send my profiles to them and then they can be like, okay, I like that guy. But it doesn't bring in. It's not like bringing in so much work. What it can do is sometimes somebody will follow me for a while.
Yeah.
And then they'll turn into a customer maybe in 6 months, maybe a year. But it's like a long.
Have
long
you
process.
have you ran any ads?
I used to run ads. Oh, good. I wanted to talk about this. So I used to
Okay.
run ads,
Which type of ads?
like sponsored ads.
What, like boosted posts on Instagram?
Yeah. Is there anything else?
Yeah, like running proper Meta Business Suite, ads manager, ads targeting specific audiences.
Well, when you boost a post, you target specific audiences and stuff like that.
Yes and no. Like, yeah, but it's less targeted than like doing it on Meta. But whatever. Okay, so you ran that.
No, well, this is exactly why I didn't do it. Because when we had our conversation, I tried to literally do everything that we said.
Okay.
But I didn't do those. You said at least do 100 shekels in sponsored ad. Do 200
Yeah.
in sponsored ads a month, something.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't do it is because last time, I've done it a few years back, and Instagram penalized me. Like when I stopped doing the sponsored ads, it literally took all of my chasifa, all of my exposure away. I wouldn't say all of it, but I lost a lot of exposure. That's what I felt, and that's why I didn't do it.
No, I think it's more of a psychological thing, and this is just how the algorithm has changed throughout the years and what it rewards nowadays versus in the past, and you thought that somebody just like give you a slap on the wrist or
Okay,
something?
so you're saying that the algorithm doesn't punish you if you paid and then don't pay anymore?
No one's out, like hunting Jordan for.
Hey, Zuckerberg's trying to make, he's like, hey,
No.
okay.
No. What I would say is that you have to adapt and you have to, like be relevant if you want that natural organic exposure, which again, like maybe in the past you could have gotten pretty easily. Why? Because nobody was posting reels. Now the reels are getting so good that only the most interesting ones are getting shared, getting more views, getting liked, getting saved, getting, DM to friends, that the algorithm favors them, right? So that's how it is working versus like somebody penalized you or whatever. Again, limiting belief.
Look, the man is out to get you.
No.
Okay, so
there is no big conspiracy around like stopping paid ads. But okay, so you weren't consistent with the paid ads. By the way, which type of paid? Like, did you test out different ads, or like did you have like a video or a reel that you created with a specific call to action, with the specific intention of bringing in either like private messages or followers, or was it just like one of these videos that you trained a dog and just like share your thoughts about this?
there was different ones because I ran a lot of them back
Okay.
a few years ago. I wouldn't say I've ever had I would call it a professional video, but I didn't have with the right intention. Like I had posts and I had call to action, I had these different things, but I wouldn't say it was like there wasn't enough intention involved in it.
What was the call to action?
Like 2 spots left. I tried different sentences, some more sweet sentence, like, I don't remember what they were, but something like, your dog's taking your dog to nature refreshes their soul. Okay, let's see if that one works. We'll send that to the yoga people.
Okay.
And then it was like, you only live once. Okay, we'll send that to the hiking people.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say that those were super duper successful.
Yep.
On the others, there are certainly some customers that I did get off those sponsored ads that still follow me today. So were they worth the money?
Yeah.
It's been years already.
Yeah.
So maybe I'd say they are worth the money because they still follow me today, and I didn't have to spend that much. Like one person is worth a lot, for me.
So what's a lifetime value of a client of yours? Do you know?
I'm in a phase. I'm in a phase at the moment that they're changing.
Average, like how many months?
I don't know.
Okay.
The average. I'll say up until now, a few years, the average would be, let's say, 800 to 1,200 shekels, depending on.
How much is in USD? Nobody knows shekels.
350, 400 bucks.
350. That's a lifetime value of a client.
Sometimes some of them are worth way
Not
more.
sometimes, average.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not definitely need a.
So this is the groundwork, and like this
Oh, but question for you. How do I know the average? If I have some customers that I'll do 4 lessons for them, 3 lessons for them, we're done.
All right, beautiful.
I may hear from them in a decade from now, but that's okay.
Beautiful.
Then I have some guys who run with me for a few years. They send them to all my dog retreats. They send them to boardings. All of a sudden, it's almost like a different. It feels not fair to even put them as the same customer.
It's totally fair. You take all of it combined and you divide it by the number of clients you had, and then you get the average cost, like the average lifetime value of a client. That's it. That's an average. That's what you need to know. First of all, what's the average, and what's the average length? Meaning, like I said, some 4 lessons out, others 2 years. All right, what's the average? Let's see. Let's check these things out. You need to know, again, you are already at a place in your mastery over the technical, like the trade itself. You don't need to get better necessarily at that, to make more money. Would you agree?
100%.
All right. The business side, completely lacking.
Completely lacking.
Beautiful. So first of all, analyze what is currently going on. How much do I charge on average? What's the average lifetime value of a client? How many lessons or how many months does a client usually go with me? If you're doing the retreats, how many retreats does an average client usually send his dog with me a year over a lifetime? Like, have all these numbers, so then you would know, for example, that if you're taking these ads, and this is part of the reason where We'll talk about in a second on how to refine these type of ads. But if you're saying that even with these crappy, shitty ads, you were able to make a profit and actually like make them work. Right now, the only reason why you haven't continued with it is because you had no tracking system. It was kind of a guesswork. Whereas if you knew that on average, this is my
for sure.
this is what a client is worth to me, and I spend 1/5, 1/3, 50% of it, awesome. That's a trade I would be willing to make any day of the week, right?
For sure. Whoever's listening, maybe you can, if you're not organized like me, I can be good at trade craft, but if you're not good at the business side, and I've completely neglected for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, but I've neglected the business side of it. And even now as you're talking, I'm like, am I stupid?
This is what I'm talking and preaching to every business owner who's seeing my ads, who's, like exposed to me, is that your job as a business owner is not to be the best tradesman. If you are awesome, beautiful, no, you now need completely different skill set in your arsenal in order to be a successful business or a businessman. And the number one thing is making the freaking phone ring.
Yeah.
That's the number one. Everything else is like a second, third, fourth, like ripple effect from it. Even sales, like everyone's like, oh, I'm the best. If you don't have freaking phone ringing and you don't get the leads, you could be the Jordan Belfort of dog training, but who are you selling to?
Well, sometimes it feels like that, especially now after this part of the war in Israel. It's like, yo, I can help all these people, I can do all this good, but I don't have the funnel system or the foundation created to be able to take advantage of it and come back. It's also like, when you ask these questions, I don't have the answers. It's embarrassing. But it's like, wait a second, I don't have these answers. How am I supposed to make any decisions based on that? Are these ads even worth it for me? Like, are they? Because now that I'm thinking about, like, maybe they were worth it for me the whole time and I just haven't done it. Because I had some personal situation with Instagram on it.
Limiting beliefs. Yeah. You had some limiting belief that somebody like fucking, like shadow banned you or whatever it is.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah. Right? Which
like,
is kind of insane that you stopped. When did you stop running these ads?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Think about it. That you could have ran ads, maybe even boosted like and throw some more money into it.
Well, okay, so finish your point, and I just want to say something for anybody who's watching. That I, at one point, had so much work, I didn't know what to do with it. It was literally 7 days a week. I would train 20, 25 dogs a week, plus a few at my house, and not having any foundation. And then I brought an assistant. And she worked for me, and she organized my life. I used to do packages of 5 or 6 lessons, and I would give you a leash and a collar with it. And I did that because when I worked in the mall kiosks, you would give something for free. So I used it was easy for me to sell it like that. When she worked for me, all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, I'm spending 50 extra shekels on every one of these people every time I close a package. So they give me, $500 and I give them $50 back. When she worked for me, all of a sudden I realized I don't need to give them that. Now I'm going to make the $50 by selling this stuff to them. So instead of giving them $50, it would be I'd sell it for $500 and then they'd buy the leash and the collar. But I only saw that after she started working and ran all my numbers, and I could clearly see my business, and I was like, oh, I'm losing so much here, and I'll just turn it into a plus. It's like almost embarrassing talking about it, because it's like, damn, I really don't have the information, and what would I have done? Because back in I had all these 100, I still have probably like 100 plus people, probably more, that I never even contacted back because I had no air. I was completely done.
And this
burned out.
This is the mistake that a lot of the business owners in the trades world like are making, which is thinking that you have to be the jack of all trade and you need to do everything yourself. Whereas in reality, if you want to grow a business, you need to automate and delegate the living shit out of it so you won't get burned out. So it would be war-proof, as an example, right? How you do that if you're a one-man show? You can't.
Can't.
You can't. So, what you need to do is document, which is, again, Zoom calls, especially if we're talking about online, which we haven't even scratched the surface. We're just like now talking about the whole business is document everything and start to build systems so it would be easy to plug in either like an automation into it or a human being who will be able to manually do these tasks, right? But step number one is document. If you have no documentation, if you don't know your numbers, there is no way of actually growing. And second thing is, I think that it's coming with the intention of wanting to build a business that you enjoy. Because even if you enjoy training dogs, you love it. When it was 7 days a week and you had dogs in your house and you have this and you have that, like, did you enjoy it? Like, or was this overwhelming? Like, could you keep on doing this for a decade like this?
No,
at that rate?
I got burned out at one point.
got burned out?
I got burned out. I couldn't do it. I didn't even answer those people's calls. And I was just like, couldn't do it. I would see it and I wouldn't even have the energy to even tell them no or anything. So no, you can't do it.
It can be done. We're human beings at the end of the day. We're not machines, right? So,
and I have other wants. I want a family. I want other stuff besides just working every moment of the...
Yeah, 100%. And you want a business at the end of the day that you can enjoy. For me, this is work. Like, what a freaking life, right? Like me sitting, meeting with a friend, creating content, living in Bali, coming for a visit in Israel, Portugal, the US, Canada, like wherever. I can be anywhere. Like, I'm building the business around my lifestyle, around what I want. And so if you want something that you want to enjoy, you need to prioritize this and, again, document. Like, here's my intention with this business. Here's how I want to operate it. Here's how I view it. And like, these things obviously evolve over time and so on. But like, you have the ability to forecast and project, like manifest what you want out of the business.
I have a question. What's the first thing you normally hire out? So if you're like a one-man show, like you were doing, you were a one-man show. What's the first thing you hired out?
So for me, I did this in different orders. So first one was a virtual assistant, someone in the Philippines that you can hire for like $350, $450 a month. And they'll work for you between 4 to 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. And basically if you find a good one, what you want to do is them to replicate yourself, right? Like, they just like shadow you, see everything that you're doing, and you're slowly, setting all the tasks and doing this. Right now, I'm at the different point where right now I have a video editor that takes a lot of, the load off of me from, editing and all that stuff, because content is a key component for my business. And the second thing is an ops guy, an operation guy that all he does focus on automation. And it is a more skilled person, he costs much more than that, but it's well worth it for me because I want to build the smallest, leanest team possible that will give me the most. I don't want to work with many human beings. I don't want to work with a team of 20 people. I hate managing people. Let me just automate. And right now with AI and everything, it's doable. Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, ChatGPT, said that we're in an age where we'll see unicorn companies, like $1 billion plus companies that are a one-man show.
Whoa.
And so that's where I want.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Whoa, that's coming.
So that's coming. And this is like the type of business that I'm building. But where you are, what I would say is that, first of all, you need to, before hiring anyone, you need to, first of all, have enough inbound leads, create enough revenue, get to that $15,000, $20,000 a month consistently, like for at least 3-4 months, that you can bring on someone else. Because don't try to hire too quickly or like, oh, I don't know, I ought to even pay them. No. You need to be paid first, take care of everything, and then we can think about other people, okay?
Yeah, like the virtual assistant. I had one once, but he was not from the Philippines. He was like from Pakistan or wherever he was from. And I was like, I'm not going to give this guy any information. So it didn't work out very. He was like, I didn't even know how to use it, like using a virtual assistant. Like, okay, how do you even trust that guy?
Yeah, yeah. This is the hows. I don't want to focus on this right now. I just want you to keep a few things in mind. A is the fact that you need to know your shit. You need to know your business. If your craft, you perfected it. 20 years, how long have you been doing this?
Like 16 years professional, almost 20 years.
Okay,
been on this
16
journey.
years professionally. This level is good enough for 99.9999999% of the clients in the world. It can maintain itself. Now it's time for you to focus on the business. Business, we're starting with knowing our numbers. Okay, that's number one. Number two, let's talk a little bit more technique. So you were saying, hey, Lior, I ran some boosted ads. I tried different offers. Hey, I have two spots left, do this, do that. There's a couple of things to unfold here. A, for people who don't know about type of content that you're putting out right now on social media, can you explain English, Hebrew, what's going on?
The guy. Well, I've only been posting English for the most part since we had that talk.
Okay, so let's go back even before the talk and then let's explain how it was before.
I live in Israel.
Okay, which is a Hebrew-speaking country.
Which is a Hebrew-speaking country, but
You're an American?
I'm an American who feels super comfortable in English, and in Israel I have both segments of the population. I deal with foreigners who come, the English, the Australians, and the different English-speaking groups, and then I also deal with very Israeli individuals. So to serve both those customers,
Okay.
Sometimes I'll do stuff in Hebrew and sometimes I'll do stuff in English.
Okay. And you kept both in the same account?
Both in the same account, and sometimes I'll do some Hebrew, some English in the same post.
Yeah.
I don't know what the benefit of all this is, but I just kind of felt like it makes everybody feel like, hey, Nachon, he is the Israeli. Oh, no, he is the American. You know, like, I don't know, I felt like it was working, but you didn't like it.
Okay, we'll talk about my approach in a second, but you as a potential client.
I'll say this, because you asked about what my content is.
Yeah.
A lot of people have told me, I don't know what you do right now. I hear that all the time. They're like, oh, it looks like you just go out in the woods with dogs and you just let dogs out. Like, I normally just show the final product.
Yeah.
And I normally didn't even show them how it even happened. And thinking about it was like, don't you see how good I am? Like, it didn't just happen. But no, they have no clue. As far as they're concerned, this just happened. And so a lot of people don't quite understand what it is that I'm doing. They understand I'm good at something.
Yeah.
But they don't quite understand what. So
and what was my advice like a few months ago about the content side?
You said only English, number one. You
Okay.
said, why are you wasting your time doing stuff in Hebrew?
Especially when we're starting to discuss like the online, like starting to transition online, right? Yep.
That was the main takeaway that I had.
That was the main takeaway.
It was like, hey, watch your post. Stop. I even saw yesterday. I made a video and the explanation was in Hebrew.
Yeah.
But then when I posted it, I posted the story in English, and then I wrote explanation in video in English, and then when I listen to it, it's in Hebrew, and I'm like, the English people can't hear this.
Yeah.
So there's like confusing things where it's not, it's I just kind of do it. Everybody knows I'm authentic, and authenticity sells. I just don't think that I've completely captured my authentic self online.
I think that's not the problem, to be honest. I think that the biggest problem is that you're unfocused. You don't know who you're trying to serve, and you're trying to serve everyone versus saying, no, my focus right now is to grow my English-speaking audience who are dog owners, and I want to sell them online stuff. That's my main focus. And so if you have like this one main focus, very clear on what type of content you would be making, all that stuff, it would be like very clear. But now you're trying to like shoot at all directions and trying to see whatever you can hit, but it's not working.
It's pretty much. Even with the retreats that I do, we've gotten to a place where it's comfortable because we have really great customers. Like in the beginning, the retreats, the people send the dog, fix it in some way, and then they see how amazing of a time the dog had, and then they send it because they just want to be generous to the dog, which is a kind of customer that I've never cultivated before. It's a very, very special individual. Because I have limited amount of seats, I don't even really advertise it.
Yeah.
And then people think I just do that for a living.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a second, don't you see all the other stuff I post?
Yeah.
Because I'm not focused, they feel it.
Yeah.
They can't explain it, but they feel it.
Yeah. You know, by the way, why I think this lack of focus is in general. What I would also advise you when it comes to content is breaking it down to individualistic, specific, single thing in each video that you're teaching. Not just showing the final product, you have plenty of those, great, keep on doing those. But every other video should be, here's how you would teach a dog how to sit. Here's how you would make a dog stop on a red light. Here's how you would do this. One task, one mission at a time. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you done any of those in the past?
I don't think I've ever made it so simple.
Yeah.
I like to make things confusing.
Okay, so this is what we need to work on. Okay?
Now, okay, question for you.
Yes.
Many people put out content.
Yep.
Let's just say for easy
Yep.
purposes to teach the dog to sit.
Okay.
So if I also put out one more video into the universe
Yep.
of teaching a dog to sit.
Yeah. At the beginning of the podcast, you shared your own personal philosophy on how to approach dog training and all of that. This is a unique take. And when we're talking about building a brand, especially online, this is bringing your unique voice in the pool of ideas, the different takes on any matter possible. There's millions of people who do anything, but there's just one Jordan who teaches in a specific way. And so what you're trying to do in online and when with building a personal brand is amplifying and showing who you are, your thought process. What's your take on everything? And it could be as simple as having the dog to sit.
No, so, okay, I got that. So now, okay, so let's say I make these videos, post them, make it simple.
Yep.
Because also I'm not trying to confuse the people.
Yep.
I confuse them, they start to,
Yep.
they go to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got it. So that makes sense as you were talking. I'm like, okay, I can see how this
Yep.
make it simple.
Yeah.
Where's the next? Now I'm starting to build the funnel, right? Because now they're going to send me a message.
Okay, hold on. Before they send you a message, most likely none of these videos will get super popular. Some maybe.
Wow, that's such a great
Awesome.
sit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some maybe. Most likely none of them will. But these are informative videos for everyone watching. Okay? Now we're only talking about social media as a funnel. You can apply this for YouTube content, SEO, totally different stuff. I don't want to go into more in-depth in it on this call because it would be a little bit overwhelming, but let's just focus on social media as an example. You're putting out a lot of these small nuggets, these small pieces of information, specific tasks, things that people can watch, apply, learn. Amazing, that actually worked. Get the transformation just with this, right? Beautiful. The ad that you're gonna run, instead of it being, I only have 2 spots left, who the fuck are you, dude? Like going into your Instagram profile, I can't even understand, like, is this a hobo, like living in the woods with some dogs? Like, what's going on? Instead of this, after you're posting 20, 30 videos like this of like things that you're doing, in any case, you're doing it every day. Now your ad is telling people, hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Jordan Knight. I'm a dog trainer of 16 years in the Knight K9 method. Okay, you call it whatever you want. If you're a dog owner and you want to learn the best method of not just training your dog, but really synchronizing with your both missions, which is the philosophy that I'm teaching, check my profile out. I give a ton of free information online, totally free. Go check my profile out. That's it. That's your call to action. Call to action is a very easy, non-effort ask. You're not asking them to buy your like program. Just give me a follow.
You say give me a follow.
Absolutely.
Is that asking too much at the first, or you say like
That's
how we get our relationship started?
dude. This is nothing to ask because it doesn't cost me anything. If I'm a dog owner and I'm going and checking your profile and I'm seeing that you're actually legit and you're giving some amazing information, that's a no-brainer. Of course I'm going to give. That's it. And so now this is starting to become your client base or your lead funnels. Like people are like starting to consume your content. Now you're starting to get into the, all right, now I have a captivated audience, which is going to see my stories, see what I'm doing, going to see all of that. The ripple effect, of course, from this is having some sort of a plan, program, and you can do this as a workshop. You can do this as a webinar, and from a webinar, bringing on people into like a 10-week workshop or whatever it is. But the funnel is like putting out some valuable content first. From there, creating an ad and running it, of bringing people just as followers to you, so you're able to, they are able to see your ads and your content, not just your ads, your content, your organic content, every day in your stories, in your reels, and all that you're already doing. And then from then, like have a call to action on your bio, in your stories, once you want to sell. But those are people who already know you. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Definitely makes sense.
That's the funnel, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's the funnel. Now, with the online stuff, it's very easy. You could charge that $50 an hour, which is kind of disgraceful, but
yeah, it's super low.
Yeah,
I didn't like giving it anyway.
It's embarrassingly
for
low.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's fine, because they're going to be, and you're going to say to them, I'm going to charge you this amount because you are going to be in my program. And this is like a clause in the contract that you have with them. Otherwise, I'm not, like, my rate is $300, $400, $500 an hour if you want me to train you and your dog. They agree. Now your one-on-one training with them is going to be your first version 1 of your dog training material. And the dog training material, instead of creating a program that teaches a dog owner everything and how to fucking, have telepathy, work with his dog, how to walk without a leash. That could be a very low ticket, $97, program that you already pre-recorded with these 10 sessions that you've had with previous owners. Maybe you had some, side notes or like some notes over that. These people would be coming into the funnel, closing them first. Once they close, you see them sell. Then you're going to have some follow-up. Hey, this is step number 1. If you want, I have the higher ticket, which is a 2K, 5K program where I'm going to teach you how to become the best dog owner in the world. But at that point, they're already in your social media. They already bought the low ticket, so they know it works. And now it's much easier to upsell them into a mid 4-figure price tag.
Where do they buy the content from?
So again, that's a technical question. You can upload it anywhere from posting it up on YouTube as unlisted videos. That's like the easiest thing.
And then they can like give me money and I can give them access to
yes, like to a playlist or whatever, to putting it in a more construct portal, like School or Circle, or like there's gazillions of like online courses, platforms that you can pay, I don't know, like $99 a month, and you'll have access to. But that's, again, it's never about the technicals. It's never about this. It's understanding the big picture, thinking from the perspective of your potential client, and writing down and having the vision of where you want to take your business. Because you would figure out everything with a quick Google or ChatGPT search.
The most I'm getting out of this, and it's not like we haven't talked about this before, but now that we're doing it in this situation, I have like time to just really, is like, what is the goal? What is the goal?
Yep.
And I would say before I didn't really have a goal. Just kind of wanted to, I didn't really have a goal. I don't even know if at the moment I want to go online. I want to assist people in doing better with their dogs. I want to get paid for it for sure.
Yep.
I want to do, but that's like the biggest takeaway is like, okay, if you have, then every time I spin off and you're like, that's technical. I'm like, I did it again. I did it again. So it's like, okay, exactly where, this is why I keep falling. Because when you're not here and I do this, I just do it.
Yep.
But now that you're here at the moment, you're like, dude, you fell again. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Yep. So always going back to the basics of like, what am I trying to accomplish? And then you just said thinking from the customer.
Yeah.
So this is for anybody who is really personal with their business. Sometimes I want the customer, like I know what they say they want, but I know what you want. And so now there's multiple ways to go about that. Sometimes somebody wants something they don't know what they want. But at the end of the day, it's our job as a service provider to know how to make them understand it.
Yeah.
And I don't always, I try to help the customer get what they want, even way more than they've ever thought of. But it doesn't work when you, I don't want to say force it on them. I need a better way to
lure them
in.
Yeah.
Because I really, really know how to help these individuals.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes they feel like I'm coming, not sneaky, but I'm trying to push it on them. Where it's like, oh, if you only...
Not just that, but also understand that there's progression. Whereas like first you give a small nugget. Then you give, then you give them like a basic. Once they get the basic, once they trust you in the process, it's much easier to upsell them into a much bigger thing where they're already fully in line with you, fully committed. And also for you, you get to pick and choose who you want to work with rather than just like, committing to, like working with someone that you don't enjoy. Because at the end of the day, I think that true freedom within the, within business is not just about how much money you can make, it's by picking and choosing who you want to work with. Mm-hmm. That's like the ultimate goal of a business. So yeah, we're going to leave it at this for this time around. I think you have enough things to take hopefully from this conversation. You share with me like what's your insights from, I don't know, like how long we've been running, let's say an hour.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah. I'm curious.
Yeah, but like what did you gain, if any, from this talk?
Well, first, it's just nice to sit down with somebody that I know cares and is doing their best to like, yo, bro, let me see if I can help you a little bit. So that's like the first thing. I don't like that I didn't know any of my numbers, and normally nobody ever asks me, so I never have to actually expose the fact that I don't know.
Yeah.
But now that you asked, okay, then I don't know. So I couldn't tell you how much money I made last year. I couldn't tell you how many customers I had. The only time I know is when I had that assistant.
Yeah.
And I know I had almost 400 dogs that year, which to me was like, wow, I trained almost 400 dogs that year. Holy shit, that's a lot. How many individuals did I touch? So I don't know if it was. I feel like I'd say a lot of things I know. I know I need to be more. I know I need to have my numbers. I know I need to. I think the virtual assistant, I tried that a few years ago, unsuccessfully, because I wasn't really locked on my goal of getting online. So again, it all goes back to having that first goal. I'm going to try the online assistant again, see if I can find somebody that I can work with, because that really, it helps me. I get lost and drown when I feel like, oh, I didn't do my accounting the way I'm supposed to do it. And then I lose kind of, a lot of my energy gets sent in that. Does that make sense?
Yes, even though, again, my advice right now, don't focus on this. Like the only thing you should be focusing on right now, Jordan?
Lead generation.
Mm-hmm. Everything else is secondary. Until you get to that 15, 20K a month, everything else is unimportant, bro. It's a distraction. Mm-hmm. Just make the freaking phone ring. Mm-hmm. That should be your only objective.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of, you cleared up a lot of stuff. Like I'm just like, okay, wait a second. Okay, I gotta just have, where is my goal?
Yeah.
because at the moment I didn't really have, and then I got really stuck on drunk on the retreats because those are really fun. And then, but it's like if you want to go online, how do I really give you guys something? Because I have a lot to give. So have the goal in mind, and then make the phone ring. That makes a lot of sense. And sponsored ads. I'll try these sponsored ads. So I will go back to them because is there any other way to generate leads?
Yeah, of course. Again, like there's like organic, there's a shit ton of ways, but the fastest, quickest way to generate leads is paid ads. That's like tomorrow, like you can get your phone ring.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
All right, well, good. I'll go do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do ads. I'm going to hit the goals. I'm going to look for the personal assistant. And we talked about lifetime average for a customer, like basic
Knowing
things,
your numbers.
basic things about a business
Yeah.
that I can't even talk. Like I don't even a lot of times feel like a business.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just a guy that has a job.
Yep.
And like people call it entrepreneur. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I don't feel like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just a guy that created my own job.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But to get to the next level, you know.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
So we will be on that.
Awesome. So where can people find out about you?
They can go to on Instagram, Jordan Dog Trainer. Facebook, it's Jordan Knight. I just made my YouTube 20 years going, 20 years dog training, something like this.
Okay.
So that's where they can find me at the moment.
Which is also, by the way, everything you just mentioned tied into your freaking disarray and the fact that you're all over the place.
With all the different, it's not
All different names. Yeah, guys, SEO Basic 101, NAP consistency. Name, address, phone number need to be consistent across all platforms. So make sure that you change it and everything is Jordan Knight. That's it. Keep it simple.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So they can find you in all these links.
They can find me at everywhere. Jordan Knight, the guy with the dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna put the links down in the description. Yeah, and if you're a business owner and you want to, if you want to do one of these, you can hit me up on the DM at vakninlior.com. There's gonna be a link down in the description below. And if you're a business owner who want to master lead generation yourself without relying on marketing agencies anymore, there's going to be a link down to Local Service Mastery. You're going to watch a full breakdown of how our program works, what do we teach, how does it work, all the different case studies and the client testimonials. We trained hundreds of business owners from all different walks of life and all different businesses on how to master lead generation themselves. If that's you, check the link. If it's relevant, book a call, and we're going to see you guys here in the next one. Peace.